What if I told you that a hamburger could actually explain the global economy? No joke, seriously. McDonald's Big Mac is one of the most powerful tools for understanding how the world works. It's a tool that quietly influences global decisions. And today I'm going to show you how, imagine this, you buy a Big Mac for $5 in New York. But in Tokyo it costs $8. Why is that? Because it's not just a burger. It's a reflection of each country's economic strength, currency value, and even standard of living. Food doesn't just define local taste anymore, it reflects the value of money itself. Back in 1986, The Economist magazine ran a crazy little experiment called the Big Mac Index, and today it's still used by everyone from central banks to Wall Street analysts, which makes this system incredibly powerful. But how can a burger possibly be such an economic tool? The answer is that the Big Mac is basically the same everywhere, same ingredients, same quality, same production process, and that makes it a perfect item for comparison. So if you can buy one for $2 in India but pay $5 in the US, that shows you the real value difference between the Indian rupee and the US dollar. And here's the wild part. This simple burger index sometimes gives more accurate insights than even the complex calculations used by the IMF. While economists build billion-dollar models, the McDonald's menu is quietly telling them the truth, and now here comes the most exciting part. This index doesn't just compare currency, it can show the true cost of living, wage levels, even political stability in a country with just one burger. You can break down the whole world, so don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because what I'm about to share next will seriously open your mind. And drop a comment too, which country's Big Mac price shocked you the most. Now let me walk you through how this system actually works and why it's such a powerful indicator, because this isn't just about burgers, it's the real story of globalization, economics, and money. Now let's break down the science behind this burger story. The Big Mac Index is actually based on something called purchasing power parity, or PPP. Sounds complicated, right? But it's actually pretty simple. Let's say a Big Mac costs $7 in Switzerland and only $3 in Turkey. That means the Swiss franc appears to be about 133% more valuable than the Turkish lira. But is that really true? This is where the Big Mac Index steps in and basically says, nope, the Swiss franc is overvalued and the Turkish lira is undervalued. Now why does that matter? Because big-time investors use this data to predict which currencies might rise or fall in the future. Huge financial institutions like Goldman Sachs and Deutsche Bank actually keep an eye on this burger index, and it gets even more interesting. During the 2008 financial crisis, the Big Mac Index was showing that some currencies were dangerously out of sync. In Greece, for example, the Big Mac price was way too high compared to the real value of the euro. And guess what happened next? Greece's economy collapsed. Here's another jaw-dropping example. Back in 2014, Big Macs in Russia were super cheap, the ruble looked undervalued, and then boom, the Crimea crisis hit, sanctions were imposed, and the ruble tanked. The Big Mac Index saw it coming. Now, of course, not everything can be explained with a hamburger. Different countries have different labor costs. In India, for example, a McDonald's worker earns about 1/10 of what a US worker makes. That's why there's something called the adjusted index, which takes income differences into account and gives more accurate results. But what about countries that don't have McDonald's? Well, then we use something like the KFC index or the Starbucks index. Same idea, standardized product, global brand, consistent quality. And here's one of the craziest parts. The Chinese government has actually been caught manipulating Big Mac prices, pressuring McDonald's to keep prices low in order to hide the real value of the yuan. But economists are aware and use alternative methods to see through it. This system is so powerful that even Apple tried creating its own iPhone index, because iPhones are standardized too, though not as common as Big Macs. Now, what does all this mean for everyday people like us? It means that if you're planning a trip, the Big Mac Index can tell you which countries will be cheaper for you. If the index shows a currency is undervalued, then everything in that country is going to feel like a bargain, and that's just the beginning. Now, let me tell you about some of the craziest examples from the Big Mac Index. Get ready, because these stories are honestly mind-blowing. Back in 1998, you could buy a Big Mac in Russia for just 75 cents. The Russian economy was in total collapse, but smart investors looked at the Big Mac Index and realized the ruble was extremely undervalued. They bought in, and by 2008, the ruble had increased tenfold. People literally made millions off a hamburger. But the wildest drama happened in Argentina in 2001. When the Argentine peso was crashing, the Big Mac Index showed that the peso's real value was way lower than what the government claimed. So what did they do? They actually asked McDonald's to lower the price of the Big Mac to make the country look better on the index. McDonald's refused, and as a result, they had to shut down a bunch of their locations. Then came Venezuela, where Chavez's government tried to control the price of Big Macs. The outcome, McDonald's left the country entirely because, in a twisted way, controlling burger prices meant trying to control the economy. But here's one of the smartest ways the index is used, In Norway, a Big Mac costs around $8, showing that the Norwegian krone is seriously overvalued. Smart entrepreneurs take advantage of this by manufacturing goods in Norway and selling them abroad. Even though production is expensive, the profits are huge. The Big Mac Index also impacts tourism when it shows that certain countries are undervalued. Tourists rush in, like when a Big Mac cost $3 in Thailand, and Americans flooded the country because everything felt super cheap. And I get this, McDonald's itself now uses the Big Mac Index in its expansion strategy. When they plan to enter a new country, they check how the local currency compares on the index. If it looks undervalued, they move in and invest. Even tech giants use it. Apple looks at the Big Mac Index when pricing iPhones globally. It helps them figure out what to charge in different countries. And here's something you might not expect. Crypto investors also use the index. They check which currencies are undervalued and then trade crypto on those countries' exchanges to maximize profits. And in the massive Forex market, where over $7 trillion are traded every single day, a surprising amount of that activity is based on insights from the Big Mac Index. Yep, a simple burger influences the biggest financial market on earth. And here's one more shocker. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Big Mac Index revealed which countries had the most resilient economies. The nations that stayed stable in the index were also the ones that suffered the least economic damage from the pandemic. And now we're about to see where this index is heading next and how it can help you too. And now we've reached the final part, the future of the Big Mac Index and how it can actually help you in your everyday life. Because this isn't just something for economists anymore, it's relevant to all of us. Today, there's a digital version of the Big Mac Index. You can open an app on your phone, tap a few times, and instantly find out which countries have undervalued currencies. It even helps you decide the best places to travel based on your budget. But here's where things get even crazier. Artificial intelligence is now using Big Mac pricing data to predict currency movements. Google's AI can analyze McDonald's prices and predict exchange rate trends with 78% accuracy. That's better than most human analysts. Now let me give you some real-world advice. If you're thinking about working abroad, check the Big Mac Index. Go to a country where the currency is undervalued, earn money there, and if that currency gains value later, you'll profit big time. If you run an e-commerce business, this is gold. Source your products from countries with undervalued currencies and sell them in countries where currencies are stronger. That way your costs are low and your profits are high. Planning to retire, look at countries that consistently show up as undervalued on the index like Thailand, Malaysia, or Portugal. They offer a great lifestyle for a fraction of the cost. In crypto trading, the index gives you an edge too. When a country's currency is weak, Bitcoin tends to be more expensive there, which opens up arbitrage opportunities. For example, in Venezuela, Bitcoin was about 30% more expensive because the Bolivar had collapsed. If you're starting a company, this index can guide you too. Countries with undervalued currencies offer huge savings on startup costs, and that's why places like Estonia and the Czech Republic have become tech hubs. But here's the biggest twist. Climate change is now affecting the Big Mac Index too. As agriculture costs shift due to environmental changes, burger prices shift with them, so this index could soon play a role in environmental policy decisions as well. And get this, McDonald's is developing a plant-based Big Mac. And since plant-based ingredients have different prices across countries, this will completely change how the index works. The next big step is real-time data, a live Big Mac index updating every second with prices from every McDonald's worldwide, giving instant insights into currency values, and that might totally transform how we make personal and financial decisions. So in the end, what's the lesson here? That a simple burger can teach us a lot about the global economy, that the biggest financial truths can sometimes be found in the smallest, most ordinary things. Now you can use this knowledge to make smarter moves with your money and your life, because sometimes the simplest tools are also the most powerful. And yes, a hamburger really can show you the world. Don't forget to like the video, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you've discovered thanks to the Big Mac Index.